Connecting with somebody, whether it's in a conversation or on YouTube or on Instagram or, in a classroom, it's not about the information that you're giving. Today, we're gonna talk about ways that you can pair your everyday life with the information that you have to create more connection in your YouTube videos, and that's coming up next. My name is Lennon. I'm one of the strategists here on the Video Creators team. If you haven't met me yet, it's really nice to meet you. When I was about 9 years old, I was sitting at a family reunion. As family reunions go, there's a lot of people there that I don't even recognize, right? We see all these people and some kids grow up at the same time as you and you're like, is that Sarah? Is that Matthew? Like, you don't necessarily know if it's even them. And then there's all these old people sitting around that you're like, I think that's my uncle or whatever. And we're sitting down to eat. There's a bunch of food. And that was the best thing about family reunions for me. I come from the South in Arkansas. So there's like a bunch of incredible fried foods, all these fresh veggies, like it's perfect. But being a kid at this thing and being around all these adults wasn't necessarily exciting for me. I just wanted to get back in the river and like go swimming with my cousins. Like that's all I wanted to do. But there was one guy that was sitting over there. I got to know this guy eventually as Uncle Crowbar. And he's one of those uncles that's not even your uncle. He's actually your cousin, right? But he's just old enough that he could be your uncle. And everybody just loved him so much that they all just call him Uncle Crow or Uncle Crowbar. Yes, you can tell I'm from Arkansas. But he got my attention because he was telling a story and he was doing it in a way everybody had shut up and was just all eyes on him. And he was pulling out all the details and all the excitement. You were fully enamored in everything that the man had to say. And all of a sudden, I didn't want to be in the river anymore. I was all about like hanging out and watching Uncle Crowbar tell these stories around the picnic table. I just wanted to be there and listen to everything that he had to say. So if you're still watching right now, there's something that's happened here and we're gonna break it down a little bit. I want you to think about anything in those moments, anything there that you connected with. Was it the fact that you can picture being at a picnic table with your family? Was it that you can picture the crazy uncle that's not really the uncle? Was it that you can imagine being a kid and just wanting to get back and play with your cousins at some time? What is it that you connected with in that moment? Because there's magic in those details. And this is the stuff that so many of you are leaving out. And I hear you. Everybody says, just get to the point. All I want is just like, get to the good stuff. But there are two things that I know you want. Number one, you want to grow your YouTube channel. But number two, you want to grow your connection with your viewers. You want to grow a community and you want to be able to build a business around that community. That's actually three things. Math was never a strong suit for me. And I said it in the intro, connection does not come from the information. Connection comes from the details. Connection comes when, as Seth Godin puts it, people like us do things like this. So if you stuck around at all for the story that I just told you, then you had a moment where we connected, where you said, I am like Lennon in some way because I can totally relate to what he's saying right now. So here's a quick way that you can bring your own story into illustrating a point the same way that I just did with you. First of all, pick a moment. And when I say a moment, I literally mean a moment. The story I just told you is all wrapped up in about 5 seconds. And it took me 2 minutes to tell it, right? But I'm only talking about a 5-second window. In the book Stories That Stick, the author talks about a story being 3 components. You have normal, explosion, and new normal. It's important that in the normal section, we have some sort of character. In that story, the character was me. And we also need details because those details are what allow us to connect. That's why I threw in little things about my relatives being amazing cooks and all the fried foods and little things that would let somebody really kind of paint that picture in their own head. So then you have the explosion. This is the moment where there's some sort of transformation. I'm thinking one way and then I change. I'm thinking I just want to get in the river. But who comes along? Uncle Crowbar. And he starts telling this story and everybody gets quiet. And we zoom in our brains on Uncle Crow, and he's like telling this crazy story about who knows what, probably pigs like falling off a trailer. In that moment, I'm transformed. I no longer want to be in the river with my cousins. I want to be right here with the adults because this guy right here has captured my attention. And now that becomes the new normal. The new normal is me wanting to be in this place. And what's interesting about this method is that I told you this story and then led it into the teaching. I used then the story to illustrate the teaching at hand. We can do this with anything. We can pick a story, and then as long as the ending, as long as the transformation has something to do with the teaching that you're trying to give, we can utilize that to bring people in, to teach them more about us, to offer our primal branding elements, which is like our creation story, who we are as a leader. We can talk about icons in these stories. There's a lot that we can do, and we can do it all in a little amount of time. You saw that this story only took maybe 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, right? So I want you to think about this in your next video. How can you implement a simple story, something that brings you into the picture for your viewer, something that gives them details that they can connect with, and then teach them something on the back end of that so that they connect deeper to that teaching? Because it's not the information that we take away. It's the feeling that we get. It's the thing that happens when we can pair it with something that we already know. And I hope that Uncle Crowbar here, rest in peace, Uncle Crow, I miss that guy a lot. I hope that his story, his legacy, his ability to connect with me at a young age has passed on to you in some way. So we got a whole playlist here of videos for you to check out about storytelling, telling better stories. And I want you to click on this right here. There's some really, really great stuff from us here at the Video Creators team. And we will see you guys in the next video.